What are you currently optimizing in your life? The simple everyday experience, or are you optimizing for getting some sort of a big experience down the line, maybe, I don't know, 1 year, 2 years from now? So I will make the case in this video that what's worth optimizing for is an ordinary day in your life. Why an ordinary day? Because you have much more of them. And because the ordinary days are effectively the building blocks of your whole existence, in a way, if you think about it. So let's imagine a lifespan of 50 years, okay, between the age 20 and 70, when you do most your productive work in this world. So you have about 50 years of days in which you are doing stuff, right? And we imagine that we all want to optimize for having as much joy and fulfillment and happiness in that span of 50 years. So if you are optimizing for reaching goals at the expense of the joy and the fulfillment that you get while pursuing those goals, we can imagine that if you are really, optimistic and striving and working, consistently towards them, you might achieve like 2 goals a year, like something really worth celebrating for. So if you have like 2 goals per year, typically they would not be like life-changing goals, but let's imagine something that you really strive towards. So you would have 2 days, maybe each year, when you would be really happy. Multiplied by 50, you would have like 100 days, to be generous, for 50 years in which you would have, let's call them peak experiences, or days in which you are really happy. And now you contrast that 100 quantity, right? Quantity of 100 days with 15,000 days, which are roughly the amount of days in which you could be happy without necessarily having something, externally speaking, from an external viewpoint, to be happy about, right? We call them ordinary days. Of course, there are more than 15,000 days in 50 years, but I just considered like 300 days out of the 365 days in a year in which you can have like a quite decent experience, right? So 300 days out of 365, in 50 years, you have like 15,000 days that you can optimize for to be able to actually enjoy and be happy, versus the 100. So why am I making this point? Because it's so obvious that everyone is missing it, including myself. 15,000 so-called ordinary days are much more interesting to optimize for than the 100 days. Because in the first case, if you optimize for having peak experience in 100 days throughout that 50 years lifespan, most probably, if you don't really consider the everyday fulfillment piece, and you don't honor the ordinary day, most probably you will make the days in between those peak experiences not very pleasant. You will only look for reaching the goal, and you will discount the value and the meaning of the everyday experience on behalf of reaching that goal, right? On behalf of making those 2 days a year in which you can be really fulfilled. And most people, let's be honest here, most people don't have 2 days a year when they are really fulfilled. Most people have such huge aspirational goals, and they defer their own happiness until they reach them for years and years. So they become like miserable they are miserable for the most part, for the biggest part of their life, offloading in a way or delegating their happiness, putting their happiness on pause for a later stage or a later period in life when they think that once they reach that destination, now then they can be happy. What they don't realize, of course, is that the weight, the psychological weight of carrying with them so much agony and frustration along the way on the path to reaching that goal will count a lot on their overall ability to be happy in life. Because they are effectively punishing themselves for years and years and years, on the altar of that goal of theirs, not realizing that they are basically sacrificing their own life to get something which is not even destined to be theirs. It's maybe, yes, something that they are confident that they will get. And maybe they will get it. And typically this is some sort of a financial outcome, right? People want, I don't know, millions of dollars or whatever. But they don't really know why they want it, right? People start this crazy journeys of achieving, this bling bling lifestyle and getting all sorts of things, of material possessions, because they think this will fix their unhappiness, right? This must do it. Because it's much more scary to look deep down at what doesn't work currently and try to understand that, not fix it, but understand it first, accept it, it's there, and then based on that understanding, craft a life where you don't need to discount the value of this ordinary day for a future ideal day, right? So I'm a huge advocate for improving the quality of an ordinary day in, yes, an ideal life that you have to design by yourself. So no one says that you should live your life on other people's terms. You should live your life on your own terms. But those terms should be really defined by you consciously. You cannot just go through life, just fight with everyone in front of you because they are sitting in front of whatever goal you set for yourself that you think you might get in 5 years if you push really hard. You might get it or you might not get it. If you get it, then congrats, but you will see that even if you get it, it would just be one isolated event that will not make up for all those days that you trashed in the hope that the goal will solve everything for you, because it will not. And of course, that applies to financial outcomes, to money. No amount of money will compensate for the lack of involvement in your everyday, ordinary experience. So why not have both? Why not create meaningful, significant goals for yourself that you enjoy working towards, so that you actually maximize the enjoyment of the ordinary day, which will eventually take you to that goal, which will lead to some sort of peak experience, right? But the peak experience is not the goal. The goal itself is not the goal. The goal is just an orientation. It's just to give you direction so that you know what you should do each day so that you actually enjoy the journey until that destination. Because if you think about it, your life is really made up of a lot of ordinary days. True, by consciously crafting an ordinary day, you get to actually live and experience that ordinary day as being your best day, or as close to your best day as possible. So an ordinary day can definitely be part of your ideal life. Because again, an ideal life is not an ideal day. It's not, I achieved this, now I'm happy. This doesn't work like that. Happiness cannot be postponed. Happiness cannot be conditioned on you achieving something in the future, happiness must be worked towards and must be deserved in a way. You know, you cannot discount the preciousness of everyday experience. You cannot discount the invaluable experience of being alive, of life itself, for an undetermined period of time and expect that in years, when you really didn't care to build something that you can be joyful about, you cannot expect that one objective, one goal, one thing that you get will compensate for all this. It's just not possible. And I also talk from experience because I know what it means to feel like, every day is not that interesting, and you go into some sort of a gray existence and gray experience of life in which you know everything, nothing is special anymore. There is no really need or opportunity for being happy and joyful or celebrating anything because it's just ordinary stuff. So this is something that I learned the hard way, that I now have to avoid, right? This is the pitfall. We are never granted the time that we have on this earth. And I don't want to be fatalistic, but this is true. We never know if we get to live one more day, one more year, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, if you're lucky. Okay, 100 years with technology and whatever biohacking thing you're doing to yourself. Let's imagine you are 20 and you still live to get 100 more years. Amazing. It's still nothing. 100 years, it's nothing if you don't pause occasionally to really appreciate the fact that you are alive. Years pass by in a blink when you are just busy with building the future. When you are always and only looking at the future, you cannot look at what's in front of you. You will miss that. And that's for me the biggest sin. That's for me to sin. To never look in front of you, to never live where life happens, in the only place that life happens. Now, this moment. And this moment might not look glamorous, right? It might look like just basic, normal stuff. Why should I be grateful for it? Why should I care for it? Well, the simple answer is because there are a lot of people who would do anything and pay any price for getting even one more minute of this unglamorous, basic life. Every moment is precious. Every moment is special. Every moment is unique if you choose to make it so. That's the good part of it. It's your decision. It's your decision how you live your life. It's your choice to make this life matter and this moment matter, because you can consider always this moment as being part of a journey that you build, you craft against your own values, against your own standards, against your own criteria in the end, right? It's a life by design. You decide how to build it. And if you choose those experiences in your everyday, basic, normal, ordinary life that give you happy and joy, then you won. You won the game of life. Because life is all about chaining as many ordinary but special for you moments as possible. And moments that are special for you might not be special for me, but you don't care about that. I don't care about that. I care that my ordinary moments are moments that I'm grateful for and I appreciate simply because they are representatives They are representative for experiences that I enjoy and I want to have more of. And by having more ordinary days to my liking that give me enjoyment and life fulfillment, I won. I don't need big experiences. I don't need to win the lottery. I don't need to have the best next new car in order to be happy. I'm happy by virtue of doing those things daily that are in line with my values, and yes, eventually take me towards a goal that is also significant for me. But the goal is just to give me direction, so I know that reaching towards the goal or pursuing that goal will force me in a way to live my life every day against values that I have, against those, intentions that matter most to me. So by me living in alignment with my values, I'm basically experiencing every single day those ordinary moments that matter most to me, that I will remember at the end of the day as being important to me, so that I will consider each day as being a successful day. Each day is a successful day, not because I'm just 1 inch closer to my goal and the suffering was worth it, but because I am executing on my purpose, I am in alignment with my values, and I'm also directionally correct towards my goal. Because when I meet my goal, when I reach my goal, the goal is not representative for me, at least, as being an interesting material possession. Even if the goal would be some sort of material possession, that material possession would be representative for me reaching a certain destination, for me completing a phase of my own personal transformation journey. If I have an imagined experience as being my goal, that experience is simply validating what I was able to achieve for myself, by myself, of course, with the support that I have around me, but against my own standards, right? It's representative of what I was able to create and craft for myself throughout a certain amount of time. But that amount of time was the precious gift. Each day is a precious gift that I receive from life, from God, to allow me to execute on my dream that is meaningful to me, that it's purposeful. And while I was doing it, I was also happy. So it's a win-win, right? It's not that I'm doing these things, I'm suffering along the way, so I get this goal, so I get the new car, so I get this amount of money that will fulfill me. This is bullshit. No amount of money can ever compensate for the lack of investment in understanding who you really are and what you really care about. No amount of money will ever compensate for your ignorance to learn about your own values and living in accordance to them. That's a promise. So things are actually much, much simpler than we tend to make them, right? If we simply optimize for having an enjoyable experience every day, not optimizing for pleasure, of course, right? Because just optimizing for pleasure and staying in the easy mode will not take us anywhere meaningful, right? For us or for the society as at large. But we cannot only look at the destination. The destination is there as an anchor, as a lighthouse to give us direction, to know that we are going in the right place. But what's important is the next step in front of us, or even this step more than the next step, right? And I say that you want to optimize for the journey because the way that you go through life is also much more enjoyable, right? You don't have that burden on your shoulders of having to push hard through stuff. You just go in an effortless way at effortful things, right? You still have to do effort. There are still things that you have to do in your daily life, of course. Hard things. If you have like very deep, purposeful goals that are not easy to achieve, which can take 5 years, that's perfect. But you don't suffer for 5 years. You don't discount the preciousness of every single day for those 5 years just on the altar of that goal. You will be able to do hard things and not find them hard in the proper sense because you take them as being an integral part of your journey. Effort becomes effortless in a way. Everything becomes lighter. And you know that when you are doing hard things and things become lighter or they are not as hard as others might perceive them, then you are doing something good. Then you are really in alignment with your values, and whatever you are doing is representative for the kind of thing that you are happy doing it for the, whatever amount of time you want to stay engaged in that. And that's passion, that's purpose, that's a life well lived by doing hard things in a way that doesn't feel hard for you. Because then you also have a unique mode towards everyone else in this life. You will have a unique skill set, you will have a unique footprint of expertise that no one else will have. Because you will get to do those very specific things that make you happy and bring you joy on a day-to-day basis in a way that is effortless. So no one else can do it. So you don't have competition in that way, which is also a huge release of burden. Like a lot of people carry this sense of, I have to be better than the other person. No, you don't. Just be better than you used to be yesterday. Thank the version of yourself from yesterday for doing its best to give you today, to build an as good legacy as possible for you today. And you today have the responsibility of doing the same for you tomorrow. Take a day as an ideal unit of time in which you can just do your best at all times, every single day. And every single day you do your best. And tomorrow, your next self, right? Your tomorrow self identity who inherits what you've built today will be happy with your effort, will be grateful for your effort. So when you will meet him in the mirror tomorrow, you will see that he smiles or she smiles. They smile, right? Because they know what you did. And they know you did always your best. Even if you didn't do it perfectly, that's not a problem. So you always get to build towards meeting your ideal self in the future, knowing that your ideal self is at all times aware of the effort that you are doing every single day to create the best life for them. So at the end of these 5 days, when your transformational phase completes and you reach your meaningful goal, you will look in the mirror and you will see a grateful person, because you will see the gratitude on the face of a person who knows every single step that you took to reach that place. And that's an experience you cannot buy. That's something you cannot buy. I dare you to experience this for yourself. And maybe you can comment to let me know how it felt.